What's up, guys? Intelitech Studios here. It is currently sometime late at night, and here we have a Shark Navigator liftaway. It's 1:55 p.m. or a.m. and we have a Shark Navigator liftaway that the cord was cut on. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and show you that. I guess I can't really show you how the cord was cut, but what I can show you is that they actually got the cord protector in the process, simply trying to cut off the cable. This was presumably a scrapper that took the cord off for copper. As I've said many times before, I absolutely despise people that scrap working vacuums. It's one of the most wasteful things you can do. It doesn't earn you that much money. It really is not something that is economically sensible. But at the same time, we all know what time we're in now, and desperate times call for desperate measures for some people, so I can totally understand why, if you don't need a vacuum but you need some cash, maybe you'd go around and cut the cords off all of the appliances that you find in the trash and scrap them for a few dollars worth of copper so you can get yourself a sandwich. And, I can understand that. And certainly respect it to a degree. But I don't know if that's the story behind this machine, if that's why the scrapper who got a hold of this machine cut the cord off of this one. Because one thing that you'll find is that I used to initially assume that every vacuum that had a cut cord probably had a bad motor. But as you'll hear from this machine, headphone warning, that is in fact not the case. The motor runs perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with the motor on this vacuum. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug it from the cable that I've replaced it with. You can tell this is a replacement cable because it's black and the original cable was obviously gray. But you can see I've simply stripped off the individual wires and taped them together. And that has done... I was going to say it would have done a sufficient job, but this tape cap just popped off. But that's okay. We're going to pull these off and use the actual proper caps anyways. Because I got these crimp caps. Got these in a pack on eBay. This is about 300. No, it's 100. Okay, so the packaging said 300. This says 100. I don't care. It's good enough for me. And, this will certainly be enough for what I would need them for. So here's a pack. This is not a tutorial. As you can see, I've already taken the bottom off, so I can't really teach you how to do that. Well, I guess I can. Basically, if you haven't got to this stage yet, and you want to use it as a tutorial, this is not a tutorial, this is just me fixing mine. There are 10 screws underneath here, and these are a security Torx bit. If I can find the screwdriver, I don't know where I put it. I just had it, and now I don't know where my screwdriver is. Oh, here it is. So, this is a security Torx bit, which I don't know the exact bit that this is because my bit set that this came with was unmarked. This is just a very cheap bit set. This was entirely unmarked, but if you get this exact bit set, if you look at it in this way, it's the third one. And, I know that this fits perfectly with the screws, so obviously if you do get one of these security bit sets to fix your Shark, then, of course, which you have to do for every modern Shark. Some of the very early versions of this model had Phillips screws all throughout, and that was much nicer. But at some point, Shark decided to switch to these security Torx. You can get these online, but you can't get them in most hardware stores. It really just depends. And that's in an attempt to keep customers out of their vacuum. And so that way, if customers end up wanting to replace something on their product, they'll find out that they have to buy all sorts of special tools and attachments and all that. And a lot of times, the hope on the behalf of Shark is that the customers will just forget about it and end up throwing away the product and replacing it with hopefully a new one from the same brand. At least that's what Shark hopes. But as we know, that doesn't always happen. So we're going to grab a couple of these caps because obviously we need one for the positive and negative leads on the wires. Now, if you are replacing this, please keep in mind this can be very dangerous. If you are a beginner, please have someone that has some prior electrical knowledge with you and supervising you while you do this, or ideally just have them do it for you. And you really need to make sure that you're doing this safely. You want to make sure that the entire machine is unplugged. You want to make sure that while you are doing this, you're actually matching up the correct wires, that you're stripping the wires correctly, that you're doing everything correctly, because I am not liable if you shock yourself or, God forbid, even start an electrical fire. There are risks to this. I have not had anything like that happen, but I've only replaced maybe like 5 cords on vacuums over the years because I only just recently started doing it. And prior to that, I would usually just part out machines that had no cords. And I've learned, obviously with this unit as an example, that it's not necessarily true that machines that are thrown out necessarily have bad motors. In this case, this motor sounds perfectly fine. Has a bit of a smell to it, but works fine nonetheless. So it looks like I may have stripped these a little bit short of where these crimp connectors would ideally sit, but I think we should be okay. And trying to get this all jammed back in here is certainly going to be a process, because obviously this is designed to have a hardwired cord in here. And did I just separate? I just separated the wires for the white leads by accident, but the ones for the black leads are still intact. So obviously I'm going to focus on those first. And just going to pinch this down. Okay, that didn't work the way I thought it was going to. I thought this would have pinched down on these. Maybe that's not how these caps work. Of course, there's trains and cats in the background the second I start filming this. It's literally 2 o'clock in the morning. You'd think it'd be nice and quiet, but yeah, knowing my luck, that's of course not the case. I'm probably doing this entirely wrong. This is the first time I've tried to use these cap connectors. Like I said, this is not a tutorial. Not at all a tutorial. I will be doing a tutorial on how to unassemble the power head and get to that. This does not look to be very promising, unless I'm supposed to... This doesn't make much sense, now that I'm looking at this. So I actually might just stick with the original tape method, because the way that this is in here, it shouldn't be super easy for the cord to be tugged out. I'm actually going to try. I'm actually going to pull these wires off, make sure we don't damage any of these. Again, this is a repair vlog, this is not a tutorial. But if you can attach this wire on your replacement cable after stripping it properly to the ones on the old vacuum, matching the white and black leads, get that crimped off, get that capped off, and get it back together. It's pretty simple, but it can take a while in execution. So I'm actually going to take off this white panel and see if this would allow me to get more closely in here. Well, I can't really. Okay, yes, I can. I can get, the one thing that's nice about the Security Torx is that it gives it a good grip on the screw head. There's really not much slipping that's going to be happening. So the possibility of you slipping out or stripping out your screw head is not nearly as prevalent as it is with standard Phillips, especially with low quality or worn down Phillips heads or screws. This one's not wanting to come out for whatever reason. This one in particular is being rather difficult. even though I just got the screw all the way out. So I'm going to try taking all these 4 screws out, this little white piece that's underneath here, and see if that does anything. And yeah, I'm having trouble getting this screw out, so I'm going to pause the video real quick and try to get that situated. Alright, so what I've done now is, it may be a little bit hard to see, but I've removed this white plate and I actually pulled out the remainder of the old wire entirely, so which obviously was probably the smarter move to begin with. So this was actually more integrated, and it was actually, so it's actually braced with this white piece. And I just realized I forgot to put this little jacket back on here, but I don't think that should be a problem. So yeah, because it's not exactly going to go back on. So this one cap, which I already kind of bent a little bit, is not wanting to slip on the end here. So I'm wondering, I might have to use no, actually I think I can make this one work without having to waste one of these caps. As long as you can get it underneath, or I should say on the inside, to where it actually clamps, we should be okay. And then I found out that for these caps, the blue side seems to do the best for sealing down these caps. And again, this is a little bit hard to see. You can see that cap is on there, and this cap is on there as well. So, as we can see, that is thoroughly on there. It's a little bit more secure on the black one because there's a bit more wire to play with, but this still should be fine. So it actually looks somewhat professional now. I use the word professional very loosely. But we can toss that aside. Don't need that. And now the question is, can we get this all stuffed back in here? So this wire is in some fashion going to be braced right along here like this. So, and I actually had to switch out my bit for the one size smaller to get this little cable bracket off, and this little bracket goes, as you can see, right here, and that kind of bends in place around the wire and kind of serves as the buffer to make sure that if you tug on the wire or anything like that, that you're not undoing these caps, you're not potentially causing an electrical hazard. And especially not causing any sort of potential lawsuit. It looks like I'm actually trying to put this on backwards, which is why this wasn't going on. Yeah, there we go. That's the correct orientation. So you actually want the flat sides facing up, because that's obviously how the screws go. Duh. And you can see, even with this not screwed in, it's very tight on there. I'm actually going to try to pull this through a little bit more. Try to get as much of that cord as possible, because not only will that give us more cord externally, it'll also ensure that there is less cable that we have to deal with on the inside of the machine, which this is obviously a very tight space. It might not want to have, obviously this was on loosen mode, so now I have to put this back on tighten mode. Not tighten mode like Titanfall, but tighten as in, you know, clockwise screwing motions in order to put screws in. Okay. My hands are getting very dusty from this ordeal, but hopefully the end results will make this worth it. I've already confirmed that everything else works on the machine. There's no broken pieces. I've confirmed the power head works on a different machine. So once we get this back together, this machine should be perfect. I've already cleaned out the filters. The HEPA filter needs replaced though, so there might be some smell from the machine for a little bit. And we have to jam all these. So there's this little piece slides back in here, so that's flush with the motor. And the rest of this should just kind of be able to get shoved back up into this little cavity here. Oh, please don't tell me I just knocked off that cap. I did. Okay. See, this is what I'm talking about. So I actually am going to have to replace that cap, because it should not be that loose to where just jiggling it will makes it fall off. So I'm gonna grab another cap, not like I don't have plenty, and I'm gonna pull one of these out, set that aside. And of course, now that this is already all together, and since I made this so close to the edge of this, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Now we have to deal with the repercussions of that action. So now I'm going to oh my gosh, that one came off too. And of course it came off after it was already bent, so I can't reuse it now. Or can I? Twisting that on. It's entirely possible I didn't give myself enough slack on this, which would not be ideal. Okay. That's on now. So again, I'm going to push all of this into this crevice right here. Easier said than done for sure. Okay. And that pushes back into place. And the cord, of course, actually I think this is supposed to go in further. Yeah, that's the connector for the power head. That's supposed to go in further. Okay, I'm gonna have to address that problem. It is hot. I don't know why it's 73 degrees in here. It's not supposed to be that hot. Oh my, and the cap came undone again. Oh, this is a nightmare. So I know the black one is secure, but the white one is not. I don't think I had enough length on the... Yeah, I did not have enough length on the white one. That's the problem. I probably could get away with it if I cut off the end of this cap. Because I really don't want to have to undo this. But if I cut off the end of this cap, I might be able to make this work. I don't know if that's going to even cut off. It's kind of a hard plastic. Just kind of bouncing out of the way. Don't know if these are very cuttable. Doesn't seem like that. Obviously these are supposed to be pretty tough. Am I getting somewhere? Now, again, I'm a relatively new person to this whole thing, so I'm sure I'm probably getting comments right now about how, no, don't cut the connector. You need to redo your wire and restrip it and, give it more length and all that. And I guarantee you that is, in fact, the right thing to do. But am I lazy? Yes. Does it matter? No, because it won't affect functionality. And this is my personal machine. I don't have any plans of selling this. So it's my problem, at least for now. Okay. So I kind of pulled off a good chunk there. Can I kind of nip off the other little bits of it? That might make a difference right there. If I can just get this to where the wire goes to the end so I can crimp it, then it'll be fine. Maybe I should have got smaller crimp connectors. I don't know. Or maybe I should have just done this right to begin with instead of trying to jerry-rig a solution to make this cap not fall off. I don't know. There's many things I could have done differently at this point. That's why this is not a tutorial. This is the first time I've ever done a cord replacement on one of these sharks. Yeah, this thing is too thin now. This is crimped off pretty tightly. It's not wanting to undo. Oh, there we go. As soon as I say that, I can bend it back out of place. That didn't do hardly anything. Let me cut this. Okay. Give me one sec. I'll try to jerry-rig this a little bit. Okay, so I finally got the connectors on, and I got one of these screws in. So while this is braced, I'm just going to double check it and make sure that I didn't tear the crimp connectors off in the process of having to shove it in there, and make sure that the vacuum is still functional. Please turn on. Yep, we're good. We are gold. We are golden. Or should I say we are lavender purple. And I got the first screw in, the primary one that holds this whole mess of crap in place. Make sure the connectors for the power head are in there evenly, and they are. So I'm very happy. Hardest part is over. Again, not a tutorial, because I could barely get it myself, let alone take on the responsibility of teaching someone else. But by all means, if you manage to get to this point where you have the cable in this grommet, which you can see that right there. If you get to this point where you have that in there and that main screw in, and your vacuum still works, pat yourself on the back. The repair is officially done, because that is the hard part. And now we just have to put everything back together and test it all out. And also, I've obviously, now that I'm back to these main screws, I switched back to the original security bit. So that works good. Put this last one in here. Another thing I like about Torx is that even if it's not magnetic, it holds in place pretty well. Okay, perfect. That's looking really good. I forgot that, didn't I? I did. Oh. I knew I was going to forget something. But I think... Look, that part's done. Obviously, not much to go there. But maybe I could cut this in half so that way I can wrap it around the cable and then just rely on the actual housing to hold it in place. I think that's what I'm going to try to do. Again, this is already destroyed. I'm not too worried about it anyways. This part's going to be kind of hard rubber, so it's going to be hard to get through. There we go. So I think that's going to be what we're going to have to do. And then now we can wrap it around the cable. Good enough. This thing's not going to do much as far as protecting the cord anyways. So now we can slide this up and into this groove here. So this cord sticks out upwards like it's supposed to. We're going to pull our cable through. This is probably not even going to look proper. Honestly, should probably just not worry about it. Let me think. Okay, so yeah, so that is done. So let me see if I put this cover back on. Will this cord look weird? Or at the very least, is it good enough to where I'm not concerned about it? First off, this motor's wanting to kind of stick up. That's very dusty right there. So probably good if I vacuum this off. Here, I'm going to go grab a quick stick vac real quick and try to clean up some of that dust on that baffle. And of course, because my day keeps getting better and better, I just stepped in an ice cube. So, yeah. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now we are gonna actually no, because that could actually get in the way of the motor. We don't want that. We're just gonna tuck that in there. We're gonna pop that cover on. Yeah, because there's kind of a gap there where the cord is. If you can see. I probably could just order, well, no, because then I'd have to take this apart again. So let's see, there's a gap there. So I'm actually going to go back to putting this piece on. Again, if you put in the effort and you make sure not to forget this piece, then you wouldn't have to do this sort of half-baked method that I'm trying to jerry-rig here, which is obviously not going to look good or proper. But I care about the vacuum working. This is, at least as of now, not a vacuum I plan on selling. That could change down the road. And even if it did, which it very well could, I'm not concerned. What matters is that it works. I've met plenty of people who buy Sharks, and they like the vacuum because it works, not because it looks pretty. And of course, I say that, but then of course, when I try to sell this, the one person that's interested is going to be the one person that's like, why does this look like this? Why is the cord not matched? Why is this look chewed up? Why is blah, 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 blah? And I'm just like, okay. So, of course, now this is giving me troubles after I've already confirmed that this cover goes on. What is in the way? Is it just that? Just that crimp connector? So we can just push that out of the way. There we go. Hear that snap? That's what we're looking for. There we go. Everything is flush. So now we gotta find, oh, I see all the screws are in here. So we're gonna drop each of these screws in. One in there. One in there. One in there. One in there. Anyways, okay, I don't think I need to show you all this. So again, there's 10 screws. There's 4 on this side, 4 on this side, 1 in the middle, and then 1 in the back. You can tell where they all go. I'm just going to put in all the screws real quick, and we'll cut to the chase. Figured I'll unpause this while I have only 2 screws left. And 1 left. Some of these screws immediately catch into the threads, and then I can, let my screwdriver do most of the work, and then some of them are a bit looser, and I have to just kind of drive them in like normal screws. You can see the shark build quality right there. As we can see, most important thing, our cord, while not the prettiest looking thing in the world, is functional. So we're going to plug this in again, test it for a final time before we get this back together, just to make sure that we don't need to do this again. Oh, that just spit a bunch of dust in my face. Oh, probably should have put the HEPA filter back in, which is what I'm going to do. All of this filter does need changed. So we're going to put that back on. Okay, got that. Gonna grab our filters. Just like that. Dirt container. Got our power head. Click that in place. And finally our wand and hose. There we go. And of course the cord is able to be wrapped around the cord winders with no problems. So that's pretty much that. I'm going to, real quick, most of this doesn't need cleaned up. But I'm going to pause this real quick, double check this, make sure that I have everything put away, then we'll give this a final test run. Okay, now based on the anticipation that this HEPA filter needs changed, I'm going to put down some scent beads to hopefully make the vacuum tolerable until I can get a replacement HEPA filter for it. This hose is also badly stretched out, so I kind of wrapped it around the vacuum as a way to kind of keep it out of the way. And yeah, set the green tech down, and we're going to give this a run. Oh my gosh, it just kind of splits. I honestly might just take that out. But yeah, fits in the cord clip, and we're off. Oh wow, I've already got dust coming into the bed. that looks like a success. So anyways, this is Intelitech Studios signing out. See you guys in the next video, and I hope you all have a good one. Peace.